Okay, folks, I promised you I was going to do this program for you here, and if you're having problems, here is the program. I wrote it a few minutes ago, and so let's talk a little bit about it. So remember what we have here. If we look at the program, uh, we have an array of names and then an array of passwords. And so I defined my array of names here. You see it right there. And my array of password here. And now here, the T username is what the user will enter. And the T password is what the password the user will enter. So I set some variables, I0 and J0. These are for counters. And I'm using a Boolean variable T to use when I find a user. I'm going to turn that to true. Then I can go look for the password. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So if I find a user, then I go look for the password. If I do not find a user, then I'm not going to look for the password because the user does not exist. So I'm using a scanner here to get the input. I use two variables. S is an object, S2 is another object. I'm bringing this value in from the keyboard and this value in from the keyboard. This is the instruction for the user to enter the name. This is reading the name in target username, T username, and this is getting the password in T password. Here I have a loop. Now, in the example that I put in the classroom, I had I had I had used a I have used a if then statement. You can do this with an if then statement as well, but for this one, what I did, I converted it for in a for loop. Here you'll see my if then right there. I just bracket it, but we can do that as well. So I have a while loop. So what I'm saying is while uh, it's not true and I'm not at the maximum size of the array, I'm going to search the array, ignoring case for that username. Remember that function right here will return a true or false. So I'm going to, for example, if I enter Tom, it's going to say, let me look at the array. Let's compare Tom with the first entry in the array, John. And if it is, the T will become true. If not, the tree will stay false because T is set at false. You're going to do the same thing for the next one. So we're going to uh, again compare it with the second one, the third one, and so on. But if it finds one, if T becomes true, then I want to remember the location it found it. So if it found it at location Peter or location 012, then I have to compare the password at that same location because these are the corresponding password. Okay, so if T is true, then I want to capture that location and save it in J, and I keep incrementing. Okay, so I have a while loop. I started it with a for loop, and it looked like it'll get a little complicated because we have to break out of the for loop as soon as we find something. So once I did that, assuming T becomes true, if the user is valid and T is in there somewhere, I'm sorry, the username is in there somewhere, then I want to go ahead and compare, check out the password at that location, right? I'm going to check out the password at that location. Remember, that location is J right there, right? Remember, if it's not that password. Means it's not true. And T is true. We know the user is there, but the password is wrong. Remember, if T is true, which means we found the user, but the password is wrong, it's not the right password, this function is returning a false. It means that we have a valid user, but the wrong password. So we can't let that user continue. Okay? If the password is there, right? The password is there. The only we want to know that this user is authorized, right? If the password we have a true, T password returns a true, uh, then we know that user is actually in the password database. The correct password was entered for that user. And of course, we have the third situation where the user is not even there. So we can't find it. It stays false the whole time. Then the user is not there. So let me run it. I haven't run it yet. So let me see. I may have something is missing here. So let me see if I have everything right. So let me run it. I run it earlier and I had a couple mistakes. So you may want to think about the logic before you start it. So let's say let's look at the name here. So the name is, let's say, Peter. We're going to enter the name Peter, right? So should ask me for the password. I think all the password are 1, 2, 3, 4 X's. So the user is authorized, right? Because it found Peter. Let's go back and look at this here. So it says, okay, enter the username, enter the password. So we are looking and we found that Peter is actually in the database, in the array. So I need to remember the third location, right? This is true because we did find Peter. So I remember the third location because Peter is at location number 3, 0, I'm sorry, 0, 1, 2, 2, right? I say 3, that's 2. Then what I want to do, I want to compare the password at that location, right? I want to compare the password at that location, okay? If the password is there, then Peter is authorized. Okay, so look what we're doing here. We're comparing the password at that location. This and this you can interchange the two. It does not make any difference. We can also use a case to do this. So let's run it for the password, Peter. Okay, and now we're going to enter the wrong password. It should say wrong password, right? So it's doing this part right here. So it's saying, okay, yes, uh, wrong password. Let's say the password is not true and T is true. T, we found the user, but now the password is not true. Then we have to print the wrong password. Now let's look at the last option. So run again. So now we're going to enter a user that's not there. It doesn't matter what password. Again, this time I'm going to print wrong password because I don't want to let the user know that the user is not there. You could do that if you wanted to. So it's doing the last case right here. So it never found it. It says user not found. Oh, which one am I doing? Yeah, you can do user not found or wrong password. I'll let you fix this little part right here, right? Should be easy to fix. So instead of wrong password, you may want to put user not found uh, or user not found and wrong password. I'll let you do this the way you think it's right. Okay, so again, we have three criterias. We have the user is there, and the password is there. So Peter, so we capture the location too. If the password is there, we're going to say you are authorized. Now, the second option is Peter is there, but Peter does not enter. We check the location. This is not the right value that Peter entered. So we want to say that wrong password. The third one is the user is not even there. Does not matter what password you put in. It didn't find your user. You always want to find the user first. So this is why we use the variable t, right? That t has to be true before you do anything. If t stays false, user's not even there. Okay? I hope this helps. It's a little bit tricky. That's why I recommend that you do this. Let me put the whole thing here. I hope you can see it, right? Let me put the whole thing on the screen so that you can pause the screen and look at it. So going slowly through the code here. So you're able to find what we are looking for. Now, you can write this, put this in a try catch, not a try catch, in a, we can do a try catch if you wanted to, if you know how to use a try catch, or you can have a text block. So you're going to have an input, right? You're going to enter the username, and then you're going to have another input block, you're going to enter the password, then your event handler will consist of this whole thing, right? This whole program is your event handler. Will, if you're doing this using the GUI, your event handler will be all of this. Okay? This program will be your event handler. Okay, and you could play with it and adjust it, but the whole code is right here. It's not too hard, but what I had to do is write it on a piece of paper and then run the logic through and then, look at it and make sure it's going to run. I used 2 users. Now you can add more users if you wanted to. I hope this works. I hope this helps. You can also try the if and then loop and see if it'll work. I got it to work with the if and then. Uh, it works. It's not as efficient as with the while loop. The while loop just continues until you find a true statement. It doesn't keep going. If you use the for loop, it will keep going till it runs out of script, of index. But the while loop will just stop as soon as you find one, right? As soon while not found, right? Not found, and I is less than 4, which is the size of the. You could put array.length here. It will keep looking. As soon as it finds one, it stops. Okay, I'll end it here. We're almost at 15 minutes. Let me end it. And if you have question, good little program to do. If you have question, let me know.